How we doing, folks? Your host Moose here on the Pitt Panthers Football Network as we welcome you back to our Season 3, Week 15, end of the regular season recap. We're going to be previewing the conference championships that are going to be featuring your Pitt Panthers. But before we do that, let's take a look at what happened around the nation. It was a very short week for teams. Army-Navy, of course, the real big game. Army winning 28-27 over Navy. Texas goes to 9-3. They beat West Virginia 20-17. Another huge game. Oklahoma finishes their regular season unbeaten, 31-14 over Oklahoma State. And Arkansas State, the darling dandies, fall 35-25 to Texas State. They're actually not even going to win the Sun Belt anymore because Texas State will have the head-to-head tiebreaker over them. So Arkansas State loses. Texas State takes the Sun Belt crown in a huge upset. Like I mentioned, Army essentially wins their bowl game. Navy will be going bowling, but Army knocks off the midshipmen 28-17. Big victory for them. They get the bragging rights this season. TCU with a big victory over Kansas State 38-10. They're not going to be going bowling, but that's a great way to end their season. Oklahoma pretty much wraps up their bid to the college football playoff. They finished 12-0. They're going to be unbeaten when the playoff berths come out. They're sure to be in the mix. Probably a 2 or 3 seed you'd expect going into the playoff. And some other games finish out the season. Texas Tech over Kansas. If we take a look, this was just something interesting. I was just clicking around at the championship contenders, and something wild is SMU is projected 4th next season. They look really good there overall right now. But look at them in 2018. They go all the way down to 91st. I thought that was just wild. The 87 ranking spread that the game has projected for them over 2 years. In 2017, USC's projected 9th. They're currently 117th because they're 0-12. So again, another team that just has a wild spread of projections as things go forward. I thought it was pretty interesting just taking a look at that. If you look at the Panthers right now, we're 9th. Mid 30s and 20s the rest of the way. And going into conference championship week, there's 4 unbeatens at most. There will be 3 at the end of this because LSU could lose this week. Washington or UCLA, one of them has to lose this week, and Oklahoma will stay unbeaten. So you can see the top 25 didn't change much, obviously, because there weren't too many games. Arkansas State did fall back to number 19, so they're not going to be going to a New Year's Six Bowl. Middle Tennessee State or Houston would be the 2 most likely group of 5 teams to have an opportunity to do that. But the big story is going to be, can the top 4 teams, who's going to win out to earn those college football playoff spots? LSU, Washington, Oklahoma. Any of those 2 win, they're for sure in. Then you'll have a 1-loss team that's going to be the 4th spot more than likely. Notre Dame, Pitt, Ohio State, teams like that going to state their claim, even whoever loses the Pac-12 championship game. Some other big things that could happen here. We have the Heisman race. Lamar Jackson is top of it right now, but Darius Geis of LSU, Moore of Cincinnati, and Joe Burrow of Ohio State, they all play in conference championship week, so they have an opportunity to kind of pad their resumes and potentially come away with the Heisman Trophy, of course, the most prestigious individual award in college football. Players of the week last week, Julian Love with an interception. This is week 1, excuse me. Players of the week in week 15. If we take a look at it here, Chris Carter of Army, 132 yards and 3 touchdowns for the senior in his final game, the victory over Navy. Nico Small for TCU, 2 interceptions in his final game for TCU in the win over Kansas State. But conference championship week is the week we're all focused on here. And if we take a look around the country, there's going to be 8 conference titles on the line. Of course, the Power 5 championships are the ones we're all going to focus on, but we'll take a look at the group of 5s as well. Conference USA, you have UAB looking to knock off number 12 Middle Tennessee State. You have the number 1 passing offense in the country led by quarterback Brent Stockstill. UAB, I mean, there's nothing remarkable about them, but they've just been a very solid Conference USA team this year, and they're hoping to catch lightning in a bottle and potentially knock off Middle Tennessee State, who's heavily favored. In the American, Cincinnati's been very up and down. They've got a couple of huge blowout wins. They've also got a couple of huge blowout losses. Houston's been consistently unbelievable on offense. Number 2 scoring offense in the country. They're on an unbelievable stretch. They also have a good defense. But Cincinnati, fantastic passing offense led by Moore, like we mentioned. They're a great scoring offense. They also have a very good defense, especially rushing defense. and they're going to have, their work cut out for them shutting down Houston. What you did notice was their turnover differentials were both like +10 and +17, some of the best in the country. So that's probably where the game will be decided. Wyoming, led by Josh Allen of Josh Allen, draftjoshallen.com, taking on Nevada, that's led by Tyler Ganji, their quarterback. They have a fantastic offense. Does Nevada. That should be an interesting game. And the final one, the MAC championship, Toledo versus Ohio. I expect Ohio to win. I don't really know too much else about those teams. It's a championship game. It's an Ohio rivalry, I guess you could say. But Ohio for sure looks like the better team in all facets, and you'd expect them to win. But the big games we start talking about, the SEC championship, the first one, LSU, undefeated, number 2 in the college football playoff rankings, number 1 in the coaches poll. They're going to have their work cut out for them with Tennessee. They have an unbelievable rushing offense, number 2 in the country, but Tennessee has the number 2 defense and number 2 rushing defense in the country, so it's going to be you'd expect defensive showdown between these teams because their offenses aren't spectacular, but their defenses certainly are, and whoever does the best job defensively, you think is going to come out and win that and potentially get a college football playoff berth. The winner of this game will definitely get a college football playoff berth. UCLA versus Washington, both of them with unbelievable offenses, huge passing offenses. Both go for over 300 yards a game. Washington, number 1 offense in the country by yardage. They've also got the number 1 defense in the country by yardage, so they are stellar. UCLA's defense does not nearly match up with the Huskies, and so the Huskies, therefore, are the big favorites in this game. Also, the way the Pac-12 set up, I believe Washington will be playing this on their home field in Seattle, so they'll have that home field advantage, and I'd expect them to probably come out with the win here. Big Ten championship, Ohio State, if they win and get some help, they could potentially sneak into the college football playoff as the 4 seed. They definitely look like the more polished team than Nebraska, but interestingly enough, Herbstreit's actually going with the Cornhuskers to come with the upset victory. Not sure what's led him to that, but Ohio State, unbelievable defense, 4 in the country, number 11 offense in the country. Their rushing attack is fantastic, number 8. They got Mike Weber, who's a fantastic runner. They've also got Burrow, their quarterback, who's done a nice job running the football as well. So that should be a big game for them. And then, of course, the final conference championship of the week, Clemson taking on your Pitt Panthers. Essentially, Pitt, the likelihood if they win, you'd expect that they'll get probably the number 4 seed in the college football playoff, maybe a little higher depending on how the other games shake out. But if Pitt wins, they're more than likely in the college football playoff, and it's going to be a tough, tall order. That Clemson defense, especially their rushing defense up front, they have unbelievable defensive tackles and defensive ends, a ton of players that Pitt's going to have to contend with. They have a boatload of talent on offense, 494 rated or higher receivers, I think, two running backs at 92 and above. Kelly Bryant's a good quarterback. I think he's 90 overall, so he's very solid. Not a superstar passer by any stretch of the imagination. But we will have the Clemson Pitt preview in the next episode. We'll have a full preview of that matchup for your Panthers specifically, but we wanted to get our kind of around the nation look at all the conference championships so you guys could take a look and let me know in the comments who's going to win, who's going to make the college football playoff. Give me your predictions in this episode, who are going to be the 4 teams that make the college football playoff. Oklahoma, for sure, you'd expect to be one of them, but is it going to be LSU? Is it going to be Washington? Will it be UCLA? Will it be Pitt? Notre Dame, maybe. Ohio State. Could even somebody like Clemson sneak in with a victory here? Who's going to be in that college football playoff? Let me know in the comments of this video. In the next episode, like I mentioned, we'll have the Clemson and Pitt preview episode, and then the episode after that will be Clemson and Pitt in Charlotte for the ACC Conference Championship game. So as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. In those comments, let me know who's going to make the playoffs. Hail to Pitt. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.